Slow down, you crazy child. You're so ambitious for a juvenile. But then if you're so smart, tell me, why are you still so afraid? Where's the fire? What's the hurry about? You better cool it off before you burn it out. You got so much to do and only so many hours in a day. Hey, but you know that when the truth is told, that you can get what you want or you can just get old. You're gonna kick off before you even get halfway through. Ooh, when will you realize Vienna waits for you? Slow down, you're doing fine. You can't be everything you wanna be before your time. Although it's so romantic on the borderline tonight, tonight. Too bad, but it's the life you lead. You're so ahead of yourself that you forgot what you need. Though you could see when you're wrong, you know you can't always see when you're right. You're right. You got your passion, you got your pride, but don't you know that only fools are satisfied? Dream on, but don't imagine they'll all come true. Ooh, when will you realize Vienna waits for you? Slow down, you crazy child, and take the phone off the hook and disappear for a while. It's alright, you can't afford to lose a day or two. Ooh, when will you realize Vienna waits for you? And you know that when the truth is told, that you can
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Greg Wiley. I'm the proud principal of EDCSD Online. Distinguished guests, cherished families, esteemed faculty, and above all, the extraordinary graduates of the class of 2025. Welcome to this momentous occasion. Today we gather not merely to mark the culmination of years of hard work and dedication, but to celebrate the remarkable journey that has brought us to this point. Within the walls of our institution, our graduates have not only acquired knowledge, but have also honed their skills, nurtured their passions, and discovered their unique voices. They have overcome challenges, embraced opportunities, and forged lifelong friendships that will endure the test of time. As we stand on this precipice of the future, let us pause to acknowledge the profound impact this milestone moment and the boundless potential that lies ahead. Together, let us embark on this ceremonial voyage filled with pride, gratitude, and endless possibilities. Welcome, one and all, to the commencement ceremony for the class of EDCSD Online 2025. At this time, we'd like to introduce our distinguished guests. From the school district leadership, school board members that are assisting with the ceremony today. Today we welcome Assistant Superintendent Danny Windsor, Board of Education President Christy Williams, Board of Education Vice President Kaylee Weiniger, and Director of Choice Programming Gordon Mosier. Standing at the forefront is a truly exceptional team of educators, defined by their unwavering dedication, deep compassion, and unmatched adaptability. In every elementary and secondary classroom at EDCSD, they embody excellence, rising daily to the challenge of nurturing each student with purpose and care. Guided by our shared why to help every learner discover their unique identity and foster lifelong growth, these educators go above and beyond to ensure that every student thrives. What fills me with the greatest pride is their steadfast commitment to rekindling self-belief in our students. Without their relentless support, many would not be standing as competently as they do today. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in rising to honor the extraordinary EDCSD staff. It is a measurable privilege to stand beside them, united in our mission to inspire, to uplift, and transform lives. Thank you. On behalf of the staff and the graduating class of 2025, I would also like to thank the many educators who have come alongside these students over the years. For many students, it takes a village to get them where they are right now. I am sure you've noticed the beautiful array of colors represented in the regalia that our graduates are wearing. Many of our students are wearing the school colors of their neighborhood high schools, a testament to the diversity of our school and the varied journey many of our students take to get here. Please join me in thanking these educators who supported these graduates for the compassion and dedication that they have demonstrated. To the parents and families of these remarkable young adults, thank you for sharing your child with us. Their accomplishments are a reflection of you, and that reflection is extraordinary. We appreciate your partnership to ensure the success of each and every student. Please join me in honoring the parents and families of these young adults. I would like to introduce Erica Castellanos. Please come to the stage. She is going to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Ladies and gentlemen, please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Erica. Erica was chosen to lead us today because she is going to be joining the military and serving her country. Give her a round of applause. At this point, I would like to also invite up Amelia Faulkner, who is going to read an original poem that she had written. Please give a round of applause. She comes up.
Freshman year, I wore a mask made of smiles, chasing acceptance through uncharted miles. Too many friends who pulled me apart, and in their shadows I lost my heart. Anxiety whispered in corners of doubt. Fighting through struggles, I learned what it's about. That the loudest voices can cloud your own, a lesson in silence, how seeds are sown. Sophomore year came with a brand new start. Switched to online learning, I opened my heart. In the stillness of screens, I found my own pace, a moment to breathe, to reclaim my space. Horseback riding, my anchor in storms, gave me the strength to rise and transform. With each gallop forward, I felt my fears wane. Grounded in nature, I stepped into the rain. Teachers appeared, a lighthouse so bright, guiding me through the confusion and fright. With wisdom and kindness, they lit up the dark, filling the cracks with their encouraging spark. Senior year bloomed with dreams in my hands, cosmetology calling, a vision that stands. With brushes and colors, I crafted my way, every snip and stroke chasing shadows away. Academic excellence, a way to thrive, but the greatest lesson, choose friends who revive, for they shape your journey with love and with care. As the final bell rings, I'm ready to dare. Here I find myself on the brink of unknown, with cherished memories near and an open heart shown. From darkness to resilience, I welcome what's ahead, a path of progress with many more steps to tread. Congratulations, class of 2025.
That was amazing. Let's give her another round of applause, please. All right, good morning, esteemed faculty, proud families, dedicated friends, and most importantly, the incredible EDCSE online class of 2025. It is truly an honor to stand before you today on this milestone occasion as we celebrate your graduation, a remarkable achievement that reflects your resilience, determination, and growth. As we reflect on your journey and look ahead to what comes next, a particular song has kind of been echoing in my head. It's one that perfectly captures the hopes and dreams we hold for each of you. It's My Wish by Rascal Flatts. Its lyrics feel like they were written for a moment just like this, a heartfelt blessing set to music. The song begins with, I hope the days come easy and the moments pass slow. And while these past years haven't always felt easy, especially balancing coursework, responsibilities, and life outside the screen, you stuck with it. You showed up. You leaned into those challenges, and now you are here. As you move forward, we hope you find moments to truly savor, to slow down, and to embrace the beauty in the journey. There's also a line, I hope you never look back, but you never forget. Don't forget what you've accomplished here, navigating online learning with discipline, independence, and self-motivation. These are not just academic skills, they are life tools, and they will serve you well no matter where you go next. I hope you will always forgive and you never regret, and you help somebody every chance you get. Lead with kindness. Be quick to extend grace to others and to yourself, and never underestimate the impact of small acts of generosity. The world needs more people who lift others as they climb. I hope you find God's grace in every mistake and always give more than you take. Mistakes will happen. They are inevitable and they are necessary, but within them lies wisdom, humility, and growth. Let those moments refine you, not define you. Keep giving your best to the people and causes that you care about. If one door opens to another door closed, don't fear change. Life rarely goes in a straight line. There will be unexpected turns, surprising opportunities, and even disappointments. But with each twist in the road, there's a new chance to learn something meaningful. I hope you keep on walking till you find the window. If a path doesn't go the way you planned, don't stop. Keep going. You've already proven that you can adapt. You've built the skills, the mindset, and the heart to push through and pivot. And of course, the chorus that wraps it all together, my wish for you is that this life becomes all that you want it to. Whether your next steps take you into college, trade school, military service, or into the workforce, may they take you where you truly want to go. Follow your passions, trust your instincts, let your dreams shape your direction. Your dreams stay big, your worries stay small, and you never need to carry more than you can hold. Life will get heavy sometimes, but never forget, you don't have to carry it all alone. Lean on your people. Stay grounded in your values. Let joy and gratitude lighten your load. And while you're out there getting where you're getting to, I hope you know that somebody loves you. You are deeply loved by your families, your peers, your community. That love will always be part of your foundation. Let it remind you of your worth, especially in the moments when you question it. Class of 2025, you've charted your own course through an educational model that requires flexibility, independence, and heart. You've proven you can do hard things, and you've done them well. As you head into this next chapter, remember that our wish for you is not just success, but meaning, fulfillment, and joy. Go forward boldly, live intentionally, and don't be afraid to dream big. Congratulations, EDCSD Online Class of 2025. May all your wishes come true. All right, thank you. At this time, I'd like to ask Danny Windsor to join me at the podium. Mr. Windsor, I attest and confirm that the students seated on this stage have successfully completed the requirements set forth by the Douglas County School District Board of Education, and they are deserving of that recognition in the form of a high school diploma.
Thank you, Mr. Wiley. It is absolutely my honor and privilege on behalf of the Douglas County School District and the Board of Education to accept the 2025 graduating class from EDCSD. Congratulations.
I'm honored to extend a warm invitation to Ms. Janda Bleak and Mr. Aaron Keller to join us at the podium. Navigating the world of online schooling presents unique challenges, and it takes exceptional individuals like our counselors to ensure our seniors thrive. Through their unwavering dedication, Mrs. Bleak and Mr. Keller and our counseling team have gone above and beyond, providing constant support through various channels, be it instant messages, emails, or text. They've even gone the extra mile, assisting with those last-minute things to ensure our seniors are here today. Their efforts haven't just been professional. They've built meaningful connections and friendships with our students, inspiring them to pursue their dreams relentlessly. To our counselors, we extend our heartfelt gratitude for the profound impact that you've had on their adult lives. Janda and Aaron are going to read the names of the individual students and their messages. Students will pick up their diplomas and take a picture as they cross the stage.
Sarah El-Bourawi. Sarah plans to attend Metropolitan State University of Denver and major in biology with the goal of becoming a dermatologist. She has always had a strong passion for both health and beauty and wants to help people feel confident, cared for, and comfortable in their own skin. Sarah chose to attend EDCSD because it offered the flexibility and support she needed to focus on her education while also growing personally. Attending EDCSD gave Sarah the chance to work at her own pace and develop valuable skills like independence and self-discipline. It also gave her the extra time to participate in other activities, creating new hobbies. Sarah would like to thank her mom, dad, and siblings for always being her support system, encouraging her through every challenge and celebrating every achievement. She also wants to thank her counselor and her teachers at EDCSD for being another big support system for her by being so kind, helpful, and understanding. Lastly, she's grateful for her friends who were there for her through the ups and downs, always reminding her to keep going. Myron Alsop. After graduation, Myron is sleeping in. He enrolled in EDCSD because he preferred the style of learning and opportunities over a traditional high school. Luke Ayers. Luke attended EDCSD because he wanted more time and didn't want to get up so early for school, and it allowed him to have more energy throughout the day. He would like to thank his teachers for their support in his time at EDCSD and helping him get on track with his schoolwork and let him be self-paced. After he graduates school, he wants to get a degree at CBU in computer science and technology. Peter Burke. Peter transferred to EDCSD to allow him to follow his dream of playing hockey. After graduation, Peter plans to continue his hockey career. Peter is very appreciative to his parents for permitting him to pursue his passion. Amelia Carter. Mia plans to continue her education with community college and work full-time to save for a four-year school. She came to EDCSD to a new start and to graduate early. EDCSD helped her explore life in a new way and prepare her for whatever is to come. She would like to thank Nicholas for all the study sessions, Pokemon cards, and endless support. She would also like to thank her parents for giving her the opportunity to go online and supporting her efforts to graduate early. Erica Castellanos. Erica intends to enroll at Louisiana State University to obtain her associate degree in nursing, with the aspiration of eventually becoming a travel nurse. She also harbors the hope of following in her family's footsteps by joining the military alongside her mother, brother, and sister. Erica attended EDCSD with the goal of completing her final year of high school in a distraction-free environment. The EDCSD program has enabled her to study from home in a comfortable setting, allowing her to concentrate on her personal development and educational improvement. Erica would like to thank her mother for her unwavering support and encouragement, which has been crucial to helping her achieve this significant milestone. Thomas Chapla. Thomas attended EDCSD over the past year, as it allowed him to learn at his own pace and offered a flexible schedule. This enabled him the flexibility to be able to work a full-time job at a car dealership. His goal after graduation is to continue to work his way up at the dealership and train as an automotive technician. Prior to moving over to online learning, Thomas played varsity hockey for his high school and continues to enjoy playing in his free time. Thomas would like to thank his parents for their continued support and encouragement. Lauren Cott. After graduation, Lauren plans to attend Montclair State University, where she will major in dance. She hopes to pursue a future in a dance company after college. Lauren attended EDCSD to make it easier to manage dance and have more flexibility throughout the day. She would like to thank her family and friends, along with her dog Daisy, for supporting her and always being there for her. Avery Dobson. Avery doesn't have fully set plans for after high school. She is planning on taking some time off to make money and then go to college, but is unsure of where she'll be going. She chose to move to EDCSD her junior year because she was having trouble with the teaching at Thunder Ridge High School, and EDCSD offered a flexible schedule so she could work more. After her junior year, she went to Mountain Vista to start her senior year. After the first semester, she decided to move back to EDCSD because it was a better learning environment for her. Being at EDCSD has helped improve her grades and learn in a different way that worked better for her. Avery would like to thank her parents for their nonstop support and constantly pushing her to stay on top of everything. She would also like to thank her counselor and her E-Star teacher for being so helpful and understanding all the time. Two more people she'd like to thank are her awesome siblings, Reese and Drew, specifically Reese because she's the best. Amelia Faulkner. American author Robert Collier said, "Success is the sum of small efforts repeated day in and day out." Graduating with honors, Amelia Faulkner epitomizes this concept. She chose EDCSD in order to combine her love of competitive I'm saying it wrong, sorry. Thank you. Equestrian, I'll go with that, with her desire to gain an education in academia. Her perseverance in all kinds of weather conditions alongside her horse carried her over into the harshest of learning conditions, such as trig pre-calc. One step at a time, she became a lifelong learner in and out of the classroom. She thanks her teachers for their encouragement and her family for giving her roots and now her wings. Caitlin Ferret. After graduation, Caitlin will attend the Fashion Institute of Technology in New York City to study fashion business and management. Caitlin attended EDCSD because it was better for her mental health and less stressful than attending school in person. EDCSD allowed Caitlin the resources and time to pursue her dreams and reach her full potential. Caitlin would like to thank her mom, dad, and extended family for unconditional support and all of her friends for their friendship and circle of support throughout high school. Caitlin looks forward to new opportunities and experiences as she steps into the next steps of this journey. Lexi Fig. Lexi plans to pursue a career in finance. She attended EDCSD in order to complete her junior and senior year of high school in a way that would provide more work experience and to enhance her independent study skills. It has helped her to be successful in becoming more self-reliant and self-driven. Lexi would like to thank her entire family for their unwavering support. Sophia Freelinger. After graduation, Fia plans to continue working and living her life to the fullest. She decided to attend EDCSD because she felt like it would be a better option for her and give her more time to work and focus on herself. Fia would like to thank her family and friends for always supporting her and helping her get through this time in life. Heather Galas. Heather plans to attend college to become a sonographer. Heather decided to attend EDCSD so that she would have more time to work and save up money for her future plans. EDCSD has helped her by allowing her to focus solely on school. She would like to thank her parents in providing her with this opportunity. She would like to thank her counselor and teachers for helping her through it all. And finally, she would like to thank her best friend for his support. Ruby Garcia. Ruby plans to continue her studies at Arapahoe Community College, majoring in nursing in order to pursue her dream of becoming a neonatal nurse. She is determined to follow a path that enables her to help the most vulnerable during their weakest moments. While this journey may be challenging, her experiences have shaped her into a better person and have allowed her to become the best version of herself for the well-being of others. Ruby would like to express her gratitude to her family, especially her older sister, Gabriella, who supported her during the toughest times. With patience, hard work, and love, Gabriella has played a crucial role in helping Ruby reach her current position. She would also like to acknowledge her parents, Ignacio and Jacqueline, who immigrated to this country with nothing and uncertain futures, but provided her with a loving home and cherished memories that she will always hold dear. Ava Kellogg. Ava plans to attend Metropolitan State University to pursue a certification in culinary arts. Her ultimate goal is to one day open her own bakery, as baking has always been her true passion. She chose to attend EDCSD because of its flexible schedule, which allowed her to juggle more in her life and take control of her education. What started as a practical choice became one of the best decisions she ever made. It brought her happiness, confidence, and a renewed sense of purpose. She would like to give the biggest thank you to Mrs. O'Brien, who has made a life-changing impact on her journey. Mrs. O'Brien's patience, compassion, and unwavering support has been the reason she was able to reach this moment, and she will always remember and value her deeply as a person. She also would like to thank Mrs. Van Prague, her counselor at Thunder Ridge, for showing her kindness and encouragement throughout the process. And most importantly, she extends her love and gratitude to her mom and dad for adjusting to this big change with her, standing by her side, and never giving up hope. Their belief in her has made all the difference. Lauren Kelly. Lauren plans to continue pursuing a career in cosmetology after high school. She chose to attend EDCSD to better manage time, as well as preferring this style of learning. She would love to thank her family and friends for all of their encouragement and support they have provided her throughout high school. Brielle Klemp. Brielle is currently enrolled in Beautiful You Institute for Aesthetics. She will start this school in August, where she will learn to be a certified esthetician. EDCSD allowed her to have a flexible schedule so she could be involved in other extracurricular activities and volunteer work. EDCSD has allowed her to graduate a semester early. Brielle would like to thank her family for always being there and for all of the time and patience they put into her schooling throughout the years. She appreciates her support and effort they put into her education to help make sure she would succeed. Caroline Creer. Caroline will attend the University of Tennessee at Martin this fall as a member of their Division I jumping seat team. As a competitive equestrian, EDCSD has been a great fit for her, allowing her to compete in national equestrian finals across the country, as well as working and competing at Tryon International, Wellington International, and the World Equestrian Center. The staff support from EDCSD has meant a lot due to this heavy travel schedule. Caroline plans to pursue a degree in ranch management, sports business management, and hopes to achieve professional status as an equestrian and operate her own barn. Caroline would like to thank her parents and grandparents for supporting her horse riding dreams and her siblings for spending countless hours at horse shows. Lillian Lieber. Lily plans to attend Colorado State University as a biology major. She attended EDCSD so she could train and work as a professional ballerina at Colorado Ballet. Lily would like to thank her teachers and counselor at EDCSD for their knowledge and inspiration. Lily also thanks her family for helping her achieve academic success. Jaylee Lindsay. Jaylee is currently planning to enroll in a software engineering major through ACC at the STERM Collaboration Campus. She intends to begin her studies there and later transfer to a four-year college to earn a degree in software engineering with the goal of working in cybersecurity. Moving to EDCSD has been very beneficial for her due to health reasons and has made it easier and more efficient to pursue her education. Jaylee would like to thank her mom for her constant support and encouragement throughout everything.
Thomas Monda. Thomas is attending Metro State University of Denver next year. He plans on majoring in accounting while gaining working experience. He decided to attend EDCSD for high school after taking classes during 8th grade, where he met his girlfriend of 3 years now. Attending EDCSD has helped him develop life skills such as time and resource management and reaching out for assistance when necessary. He would like to thank all his teachers, especially his science and history teachers, for their support. He would also like to thank his family for supporting him, especially his mom, dad, girlfriend, and sister for their love and support throughout his journey in high school and life. Joshua Montenegro. Joshua is joining us right now through our live feed. He is in India, where his father works for the Department of State. Hi, Josh. Thanks for the tiger sanctuary pictures you sent. We are excited that Josh is currently in India. He plans to continue his education in college after graduation and has recently been accepted to Liberty University. He attended EDCSD to complete his senior year while transitioning between schools mid-year. EDCSD helped Josh succeed thanks to its supportive team of staff members. Josh would like to thank his parents and his sister for supporting him throughout his journey. Chris Najjar. Chris will be attending the Colorado School of Mines in the fall, majoring in quantitative biosciences and engineering on a pre-med track. He initially chose EDCSD after having a positive experience when turning to online learning during the pandemic. While Chris started 5 weeks later than the rest of his classmates, resulting from a conflicting summer schedule with a different school, his teachers and his counselor provided the assistance and guidance that allowed him to fully catch up by the end of the quarter. As the school year progressed, he found the independent focus of EDCSD to truly incite an exploration of learning which he had not experienced prior. The one-on-one encounters with subject matter were in whole imperative in developing a greater appreciation for the quality of work to be submitted via a Dropbox or even via the world. He would like to thank his parents and sister for their unwavering care and support during thoughts of self-doubt or challenging encounters with stress. Their advice and consistent availability have been essential in always providing a hopeful, optimistic voice which could forever be relied upon. Additionally, he is grateful for all of his teachers that taught him at EDCSD due to their thoughtful feedback and their will to translate confusion into understanding. Chris finally appreciates his counselor for working to enroll him in EDCSD with this school year well underway and lending valuable words of encouragement to pursue whatever educational endeavor he has been interested in. Andrew Newsom. Choosing EDCSD was the perfect way for Andrew to find a balance and time for his love for the outdoors. With a flexible schedule, he was able to complete school while enjoying fishing, hunting, skiing, golfing, and so much more. EDCSD gave him the space to learn at his own pace, both in the classroom and through real life. Andrew would like to thank his family and friends for always being there with their love and support. As Andrew looks ahead, he has taken with him all the lessons learned and the memories created in the past 4 years. With a passion for adventure, Andrew is more than ready for whatever challenges come next. Dylan Popenhagen. Dylan plans to attend Colorado Mesa University and get a dual major in business and aviation. He plans to become a commercial pilot. Dylan attended EDCSD because of COVID, and moving from a charter school to a large high school really threw him for a loop. EDCSD allowed Dylan to work independently and excel in high school. Dylan would really like to thank his mom and brothers, Travis and Connor, who have always been there for him no matter what, with infinite amounts of love and support. He would also like to thank Dan, who has always provided support and guidance. Emily Range. Emily plans to continue her education at Colorado State University in the fall. She will be majoring in social work to aid her continuing in her charity's success. EDCSD allowed her to work at her own pace while holding a job. She was able to improve upon her time management skills and keep in a flexible schedule. Having more time allowed her to work and do community service. It has also permitted for her to explore more passions, helping her become more certain about the future. Emily would like to thank her parents and family for always pushing her to succeed. She is overwhelmingly appreciative for all of the support she has received from her friends and family that have encouraged her. Throughout all the hardships of high school, they have brought light into her life. Peyton Rep. Peyton dreams of becoming a country music singer and songwriter and a member of the Grand Ole Opry. She plans on moving to Nashville to pursue these dreams that God has put on her heart. She started going to EDCSD after COVID, and she ended up completing all 4 years of high school here. Because of EDCSD's flexible schedule and self-paced style, she was able to really tune into music and learn quite a bit through research and trips to Nashville. Peyton would like to first thank God for his perfect plan and being her best friend. She also wants to thank her mom for her incredible support, her dad for believing in her and her dreams, her sister for being by her side through everything, and her grandparents for all they have done for her throughout the years. She would like to thank her guitar teacher and every single teacher she has had up to this point. Lastly, she would like to thank her brother and sister for traveling from out of state to celebrate with her. She will forever be grateful for each and every one of you. Zach Reynolds. Zach attended EDCSD to be able to work on school at home, which was an amazing privilege. It offered flexibility, allowing him to work at his own pace and focus on his goals. This learning environment helped him build independence, responsibility, and the confidence to succeed academically. After graduation, Zach plans to pursue a career in voice acting. He's incredibly thankful to the supportive staff at EDCSD, whose guidance and encouragement helped him to stay on track and stay motivated throughout his journey. Zach would like to also thank his family for always believing in him and offering love and support every step of the way. A special thanks goes to his stepdad, Anthony, for teaching him things that will help him throughout his life, and to his mom and his brother for always being there for him when it really mattered. Graduating from EDCSD marks a proud moment in Zachary's life, and he is very excited for what comes next. Sadie Robertson. Sadie will be attending the University of Colorado Boulder in the fall to earn her bachelor's degree. She attended EDCSD because traditional public school had not been a good fit for her. EDCSD allowed Sadie to excel with her schooling, leading her towards success in the future. She would like to thank all of her friends and family, as well as the staff who supported her in her journey. Joseph Joey Rocco. Joey would like to thank his parents, siblings, friends, peers, teachers, counselors, his faith, and his chickens. He would also like to give special thanks to many of his different teachers, the one who helped him write his speech, the teacher who he always talked about tacos with, the teacher who taught him that math was not impossible to learn, the teacher who always loved talking hobbies with him, the teacher who he could talk about the gym with, and the teacher who he loved to talk cars and shoes with, the counselor who helped him with all the student government issues, and the counselor who always answered his questions, including the many across last semester. Joey, most of all, appreciated how every teacher made him feel welcomed, supported, and comfortable. He wants to thank a few special friends: Caitlin, Taban, David, Cal, Alicia, Jake, Joshua, Emily, Claire, Matthew, Joel, and many, many more. Every one of these people played a role in getting Joey to where he is today. Every one of these people contributed to being a part of who he is now. Eden Rohr. Aiden has plans to pursue the medical field in higher education. Aiden wants to first thank and foremost his mom and his dad, as well as his sister Samantha and her husband Josh. Aiden would like to thank the staff and teachers for the support and guidance throughout high school. Lily Samori. Lily has been a student with us at EDCSD since kindergarten. She has been in classes with many of the teachers at EDCSD, and in the process has learned, grown, and discovered what she wants to do going forward in life. She will attend the University of Colorado at Boulder Leeds School of Business starting in the fall of 2025. Lily will be pursuing marketing and business analytics with a minor in sports media. She would like to thank her sisters, Mimi and Papa, and most of all, her parents for all of their support over the years. Cooper Santelli. Cooper plans to proudly attend Colorado State University after graduation. He chose EDCSD because he knew he could access more opportunities not given by in-person schooling. And he did achieve success. With that, taking 8 classes for 1 semester, Cooper was able to graduate early this December. He would like to thank his family, his mom for the patience and kindness, and his dad and stepmom for their unwavering support. He would also like to thank his partner and everyone else who helped him achieve his goal of graduating high school. Noah Smith. After graduation, Noah plans on attending Red Rocks Community College, where he will pursue his passion for the world through philosophy, science, and mathematics. Noah chose to attend EDCSD because it allowed him more time to grow as a man and spend time with his family. He would like to thank his parents for always pushing him to try his best and for always being there to fight for him and to stand with him when he needed the most. He would also like to thank his grandma for showing him what it means to have a humble and loving spirit. Catherine Sparks. Catherine Sparks decided to attend EDCSD halfway through high school because of an ongoing health problem exacerbated by going to an in-person school. They thrived in an online environment where their health problems couldn't hold them back as much as before. This allowed them to make time for the people that really mattered. Catherine would like to thank their mother, father, sister, brother, and sister-in-law for their continued support and love. They would also like to thank their great friends, Rhiann, London, Ella, Ari, and Kevin, for their invaluable friendship and support. They feel so grateful for all of these people and more in their life, and will continue to try to do right by them in the future. Reese Stevens. Reese is planning to attend Colorado State University Global in the fall to further her education. She transferred to EDCSD for her senior year, making it her first year doing online school, and it has turned out to be a great fit. She enjoys the flexibility and ability to better manage her time. Reese would like to thank her teachers for a smooth transition, and she appreciates her family for being flexible about how she learns. Brody Stonehawker. While Brody is not yet sure what his plans are after graduation, he is excited to move on to the next phase of life. EDCSD has helped Brody be successful by allowing him to do school in ways that work so much better for him than a traditional school would. Brody would really like to thank all of the EDCSD support staff and teachers who have helped him and have been so patient, as well as his family who has given him so much support through this journey. Nolan Walker. Nolan plans to go to trade school to become an electrician and plans to run his own business and make bank. Nolan attended EDCSD because he couldn't stop getting in trouble and chose to focus on school and work. EDCSD helped him be successful by all the help that he acquired from his advisor. He would like to thank his dad for pushing him to be better and getting his school done and being there for help when he needed. He would also like to thank his mom for always believing that he could do it and sticking by his side through most of high school. Last but not least, Nolan would also like to shout out to his sister for helping him along the way.
All right, at this point, I would like to invite our student speaker up, Joey Rocco. Please come to the stage.
All right. First step done, don't trip. We're working through that. All right. Congratulations to the graduating class of 2025. Congratulations for making it here. We all have different reasons for graduating today. Mine is a little different, but it's worth to me more than anything else. Sibling rivalry is what drove me to this stage. My brother graduated slightly early, so in my loving nature for him, I will graduate at the end of my junior year. I like to think because of many people today, I am here. But even now, I am more excited to be wearing this cap and gown than I am to show off to him. More than that, I cannot wait to move it to the other side, my tassel, sorry. Oh. To move the tassel, to graduate, I had to do a lot of work, and I really wish throughout my entire last year at EDCSD, I could have had someone do all my work for me and still get to graduate. Unfortunately, that did not happen. ChatGPT never remembered my login, so it was hard to consistently use it. So by hand, I did every assignment, every lab, every essay, every single quiz I did brought me here. It is incredible to think about, but now that I'm here, I value all of the work I did. I value that we have built our education. We have done the hard things to get to where we are now. We all value things based on experiences. For example, I absolutely adore a good taco. When I eat tacos, I always get hard shell. One day at Blended, I was talking to my teacher, Mr. Royal, about the best taco truck ever. It's always parked on Parker Road between Ponderosa and Legend. They have these crispy shells with perfect toppings. Mr. Royal told me that it cannot be that good. He said, tacos are glorified nachos. Yeah. He ran out of the room. I don't know where he went. Must be scared. This conversation got me thinking about opinions. Opinions differ from one person to the next, and you know what they say about opinions. That is one thing I have learned during my time during high school. Opinions go hand in hand with things you value and things you do not value. But your values are something more important, something that makes you, well, you. I value my friends, my parents, my hobbies, and the teachers who assisted and supported me to get here. This shows me that true value comes from within ourselves. Deciding what is and is not important comes from deep within ourselves. We have so many important things occurring every single day. Checking in on these things and making sure we get it all done is also important. I check in physically, I check in emotionally, and I like to check in intellectually, except on Saturdays. These check-ins are an important way to keep me on schedule and get things done. Graduating is something we all had to keep checking in with. Is my cap and gown on the way? Will I earn all my credits? What even is community service? Should I have taken the SAT? Will I trip and fall on stage? Not this time. Planning for graduation took a lot of time, a lot of oh no's, and it was not easies. Graduating is so important because it will be a cornerstone for the rest of our lives. Thank goodness I do not have to do it anymore or worry about it anymore because, oh my gosh, it took so long to get here. 13 years of struggle, even kindergarten was a challenge then. We look at each other now in our caps and gowns. We know high school is over, and we now move on to the next step. College, trade school, interning, joining the workforce, joining the armed forces. So many scary and big adult things. But what if we do not just jump through the next hoop? Why rush into the next thing? High school is over. Take some time before you begin your next endeavor. We are about to graduate high school. We can be proud of that. We should be proud of ourselves, and we need to be ecstatic to finally be here. This is our big moment. Even after all the graduation parties and this ceremony, we should not walk away and forget all about this big achievement. This is truly a major accomplishment. That would be so disappointing. Be joyful for this moment. We have all poured so much effort and so much work into this moment. A moment that is extremely important. We need to stop and think about all we have done. This effort is not all just for a diploma or a handshake with our principal. It is for something more. This is the foundation of your future. Graduation is the end of high school, a building block for the rest of your life. You go to college, you need this. You want to intern, you need this. You go into trade school, you need this. You want to join the military, you're going to need this. This diploma will unlock doors for the future. Many of us will no longer be students. We will all have teachers, just different kinds. But it will not be about passing anymore. You will do your job well, or you will not. You will get your degree, or you will not. The school system is a reflection of the working world. Whatever it is we're going to be doing, it will be different, it will be difficult, but just like high school or even kindergarten, it will not be impossible. Your life will be changing, it will be new, and you will have moments where you feel lost, just like the times we were lost in school. But like school, you will learn, thrive, and work. While you won't have summers off, you will still get lunch breaks, which is pretty great. Looking out at my fellow graduates, I see a group of people who are willing and ready to go out into life. People who are excited and to go try something new. This new opportunity is a chance for us to increase our value to the world, to bring something new, to help others, and to be useful. In order to be useful, you must ask yourself whether or not you're going to do something, whether or not you're going to do the hard work, when it is easy, when it is really hard. No matter what, the work you do, that effort that you bring, will determine how much or how little you stand out. If you can live up to that potential, make the decision, you will be useful. You will bring something people desire that no one else can give them. You will stand out. Use your education and your skills. Use what you are good at and know what you are not good at. This is what will help you be the person others will value. Story time. Back in June of 2024, I learned the difference between being useful and being valuable. Before that, I thought value was easy, and I knew what it was. I went looking for a job and was quickly hired, only adding to my false confidence about how good I was, really. I remember my first task was putting toppings on pizzas, rolling dough, preparing the ingredients, taking orders, selling the pizzas, and finally cooking the pizzas. My first 2.5 months in, I thought I learned it all. In actuality, I learned how to do the basic job. After this, I showed up on time, left when I was told to, and did my job as I was supposed to. By month 6 or 7, I thought because I could do all these things, I thought I could get a raise. When my boss told me we could talk about it in a few weeks, I went out of my way to work even harder. I wanted to impress, and after the weeks, I had advanced and thought I was ahead of the curve. I felt good about my performance. Unfortunately, our conversation went like this. You're great at your job, but I cannot give you a raise. The last few weeks of hope and hard work were crushed in that moment. All the time, work, effort I put into this chance felt ripped from my grasp. Something I was so sure I had was suddenly gone. This was so hard to hear, but eventually I learned why. I was just doing my job, nothing extra. Why did I deserve a raise? I was useful to my boss. He appreciated me too, but he already had a full team of employees who were all doing the same thing I did. I might have been able to do my job, but everyone else was also doing theirs. I learned that you cannot really be ahead of the curve by just doing what is asked of you. I worked hard, but never made an effort to actually stand out. It made my potential seem equal to others. And what I learned was I could have done more to be valuable. I appreciate that experience and that job because it taught me what it means to be valuable. At both my job and in school, I learned a great deal and enjoyed my time there, but I was always missing a chance to be unique. School is intended to make you a proper, functioning person, but it is up to you to look for that chance. It is up to you to become as valuable as you can. In this room, our value is set in motion. We earned this. We earned the diploma and the ability to graduate, and this is a cornerstone for the rest of our lives. This diploma will be utilized now, no matter where you go from here. Every assignment, every lab, every essay, every single quiz we did is for our future. Remember all of that. Everything you have submitted, achieved, accomplished, and most importantly, learned, is going to be the foundation of your future. I am excited to see all of us in this room together. My fellow graduates are about to be able to say, we graduated high school. Congratulations to the class of 2025. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Joey. That was great. Let's give him one more round of applause. Congratulations to all of our graduates. As we bid farewell to the class of 2025, let us remember that true greatness lies not in the destination, but in the journey. Each of you has embarked on a remarkable odyssey of self-discovery, growth, and transformation. As you venture forth in the world, may you continue to embrace the unknown with courage, curiosity, and an unwavering belief in your own potential. Congratulations, graduates, and may your futures be filled with joy, success, and fulfillment. Now we just have one final event before we formally bring graduation to a close. Graduates, please rise. EDCSD has a tradition of allowing the senior with the highest GPA to lead the turning of the tassels. At this time, please welcome the 2025 EDCSD graduates who have the highest GPA. Lillian Lieber and Chris Najjar, come on up. They were statistically so close, we went with 2. They are going to lead the turning of the tassel.
Today marks the end of one journey.
And the exciting beginning of another.
We've worked hard, grown stronger, and made memories that will last a lifetime.
And now, as we take our final step as high school students, it's time to make it official.
Tassels begin on the right.
And you will turn them to the left side. Graduating class of 2025, please turn your tassels.
Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you the class of 2025. Thank you all for coming this afternoon. Please remain in your seats or around your seats until all the graduates and staff have completed a short recessional. We can start the music.
Seas had rise when I gave the word. Now in the morning I sleep alone. Sweep the streets I used to own. I used to roll the dice, feel the fear in my enemy's eyes. Listen as the crowd would sing. Now the old king is dead, long live the king. One minute I held the key, next the walls were closed on me, and I discovered that my castle stand upon pillars of salt and pillars of sand. I hear Jerusalem bells are ringing, Roman cavalry choirs are singing. Be my mirror, my sword and shield, my missionaries in a foreign field. For some reason I can't explain, once you've gone it was never, never an honest word. And that was when I ruled the world. It was the wicked and wild wind, blew down the doors to let me in. Shattered windows and the sound of drums. People couldn't believe what I'd become. And